wanted to use the opportunity to talk about elections and to send some very simple messages to the Armenian voters. The European Union has invested a lot of financial resources and political credibility in supporting the implementation of the electoral code, in particular as relating to new technologies of voter identification and video cameras. We are very interested in having successful elections, good elections, making a qualitative step forward in democratic standards in Armenia. We have worked very hard with the government, with all the relevant public institutions, with opposition, with the civil society, with other donors and international organizations to make it a success. And we are optimistic. We are looking forward to good elections. In this connection, I have some simple 5 messages to Armenian voters. The first message is, go and vote. I know that many Armenians do not have the confidence that their vote can count. They are sometimes disillusioned, they have some bad experience from the past, but I wanted to say openly, this time we will do everything so that your vote will count. So go and vote. The second message is, believe strongly that your vote will be secret and anonymous. There is nothing in the new technology, in the voter identification of video cameras, which will disclose your choice. Your choice will remain secret. Don't believe people who are telling you that we will find out how you voted, for whom, and so on. No, it is not possible. This technology will make your vote secret. The third message is, don't be exposed to all this temptation of selling your vote. You may be approached by people who will be offering you money, services, promises in exchange for your vote. I hope very much that Armenian voters will resist such temptation, because it's not worth it. Your future is at stake, your dignity is at stake, and there is no money which can be really worth selling your vote. So resist the temptation. Don't sell your vote. My fourth message is, be brave. Don't be intimidated. You may be exposed to threats. You may be exposed even to violence. Luckily enough, the cases of violence are so far very isolated. But be brave. Be smarter than the guys who believe that they can manipulate you. Outsmart them. And don't be afraid. Because this time is so important that you have the confidence in the future, that these elections will decide your future. And the fifth message is, if you see something wrong, don't be afraid to speak up. Approach the law enforcement agencies, even if you do not believe that they will take resolute action, but it's their duty. And I know that they feel the responsibility. They know that in order to stay credible, they have to react to all cases of irregularities. So speak up, share it with the observers, international observers, with domestic observers. There will be plenty of observers. Armenia will host unprecedented number of international and domestic observers during this election. Every polling station will have an observer. So there will be people who will be watching very carefully what is happening. And if you have something to say, don't be afraid to speak up. So these are my 5 messages to Armenian voters. And we as the European Union, we believe that if these messages come through, if we are together, the donors, international community, and Armenian citizens, Armenian voters, there will be a big step forward in the democratic standards of Armenia.
Mr. Ambassador, as you know, violence had already happened in Armenia region. It's already 2 times there were shootings and different kind of violence. How you will evaluate the situation, having in account that people connected or representing the ruling party are included and involved in that violence?
Violence is bad, and we hope very much that violence will be prevented and violence will be avoided. And I have a very strong belief in Armenians. Armenians is an old civilization, and even if emotions are running very high, because in every election campaign in many countries, emotions are very high. These high emotions will not turn into violence. The big responsibility is on the law enforcement agencies, because as we know from other countries, if violence is not reacted to, if there is no proper response to violence, it may prompt more violence. So we are paying close attention to the activities of the law enforcement agencies, to the police investigation committee, and I hope that they will be doing their job, because it's their responsibility to prevent further acts of violence. So far, the reports speak about isolated cases, which are deplorable, and we can only hope that there will be no more violence during this election campaign, despite the very heavy emotions.
Have you discussed that situation with high officials?
What do you mean?
I mean that events in Gerarat village and
Yesterday
that's
in
yeah.
We haven't discussed it at a political level. We leave it to the law enforcement agencies. We discuss it at a technical level. The European Union has a special election advisor, and she's in daily contact with police and law enforcement agencies. And this is how we monitor the situation.
Other than the $1 million, what consequences can the government expect in case the electoral process doesn't satisfy the EU conditions?
We are working on the basis of positive scenarios. We believe that elections held according to good standards, better elections, will open for Armenia new possibilities of cooperation with the European Union. The European Union will be considering how to increase its assistance in terms of money and projects. And there is no doubt that good elections in Armenia will boost the relations with the European Union. And this is the positive scenario we are working on. President Sarkisyan, during his visit in Brussels, have made very unequivocal statements, very clear statements about the intentions of the authorities to ensure the best possible conditions for good elections in Armenia.
I want to ask about Armenia-EU agreement. As you know, it was announced that in Brussels that it's ready and the agreement is ready to be signed, but it will be signed probably after the Armenian elections. Are you waiting for the outcome of elections to decide whether you are going to sign it or not?
I think that we should be very happy that the elections have been concluded, the negotiations have been concluded, that the agreement is ready in its political substance, but you must understand that what is now needed is very detailed technical action. Which means that you can expect initialing of the agreement, which is the formality simply recognizing that the negotiations are over and we have the substance agreed, but then there will be a lengthy period of examining the text from the legal and technical point of view, and it will take months. So the agreement will be signed only after the clear approval of the Council, of the European Union, and after it is translated into all official languages, and it can take months. I cannot now specify the date for the signing, but I want to encourage you to look into the previous experiences, and sometimes the period between the conclusion of the negotiations and the signing, it can be very long. In case of Kazakhstan, it took more than a year to go through the text and to do all the necessary legal and technical verification. So
you are not waiting for the outcome of the election?
No, there was no link between, no political link between the elections and the agreement. The agreement is dictated by a long-term vision of relations between Armenia and the European Union. And we are happy that the negotiations are over, that what is ahead of us is a technical activity. But of course, the implementation of the agreement, the climate for the implementation will depend on how democratic processes, economic reforms are proceeding in Armenia. The more democracy, the more economic freedom, the more European reforms in Armenia, the better climate for our cooperation. It's clear.
Ambassador, are there any specific measures in place to ensure transparency in the spending of the funds?
You mean the European Union assistance?
Yes.
The European Union has very clear procedures, very clear mechanisms for ensuring the control over the spending. And we will simply continue applying them here in Armenia. But what I think would be useful would be more transparency concerning how the funds are spent, and more involvement of the civil society in deciding where the money should go and how the money is spent. And the European Union is very open to this. I understand that the government is also willing to discuss some of the aspects with the civil society, and we encourage you, the journalists, we encourage the civil society to engage into dialogue with us. We are ready to discuss it at any time, in particular with journalists, because you are representing the public opinion and you have the right information. So we can have a special session. If it is your initiative, we can have a special session after elections, maybe in April, when we will be discussing the implementation of the next single support framework, which is the cooperation assistance till 2020. Well, we can have a meeting. Last question.
I have one more, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taking into consideration all the mentioned incidents, are you still optimistic that these elections will be held on a higher level than the previous ones?
And I will add, so if the violence continue, how you will find out to react to that? What do you think, and how it will affect the outcome of the election?
I am probably the most optimistic person in Armenia, probably among the diplomats and beyond. So I believe that if everything is implemented well, in particular concerning the technology, voter identification, video cameras, and the other arrangements, including the publication of the voters list, we will have better elections. Probably not ideal, because bad habits, old habits die hard, and people in particular who were involved in previous elections have developed some bad habits. But I hope that with the active assistance of Armenian voters and you, free media, we will be limiting the impact of bad habits. So yes, I am optimistic. Concerning violence, we of course are very worried. We are very concerned because we can witness in some other countries that violence can have a snowball effect. as I said, replying to a question, in particular when you do not react properly to first cases of violence, then you may have a very bad situation which is very difficult to control. So we are monitoring the situation. We are examining what the law enforcement, the police, we understand that some people were detained, that investigation has been initiated, and I think that the police, they know their job. It's the big burden on them because it will be their responsibility.
But do you know that one of the highest officials of police?
We know everything.
And their families included.
Look, we know almost everything because of our involvement in the preparation of elections. We have to examine every signal. We read everything. We talk to the people. Yesterday I spent the whole day discussing elections, only elections. Yesterday was for me, from morning to evening, only about elections. I didn't have time for anything else. So we are very serious. Never before the European Union has paid so much attention to an election campaign in Armenia, and not only in Armenia. And we are not doing by our own initiative. We were invited. I wanted to say from the outset, we were invited to help. We were invited to provide assistance. We didn't impose ourselves. But once we did it, we are doing our best. Sometimes quite critical. We have been in dialogue with Central Electoral Commission concerning the fact that some international civil society organizations have not received invitation to observe elections. And they are European civil society organizations. They are European taxpayers who paid their money from their pocket to help Armenia. And now it looks like they wouldn't be able to come and to observe elections. Is it good, you think? No. Oh, thank you for your agreement.